Hi everyone, Blake Jones here. In this episode of How Do You Do That, we're going to look at the primary color correction controls in Resolve 17. Resolve 17 has got some exciting new controls for doing primary color correction, and we're going to go over all the different windows for this. If we look at the first color correction window, this one looks reasonably similar to what we saw in 16. However, it's been slightly redesigned. As you can see, the items that we had on the second page have now been incorporated into the widget. And so we have everything here: color, temperature, tint, contrast, pivot, and we've got here we can change between color, wheels, bars, or log wheels, for example. And then we have here the ring adjustment outside. As you can see, when I adjust that, this will adjust this area going around the color control that we have. And then we have color boost, saturation, hue, luma mix, and so forth. Okay, so then what we have different now is we have a separate grading window for HDR grading. Now, HDR grading allows you now more selectivity for doing just the shadows, areas of the picture, and the highlights, even going all the way up to the brightest areas of the picture, or as what they refer to as specular. So what we're going to do here is, if we look at this and switch to HDR grading, we have two displays. Now these can be incorporated into one, so as you can see here, I can change between these two displays like so, or I can move this display over on top of the area where the color warper is. So all I have to do then is click on this little button, and then it will move it over here as well. And this shows me the zones that I'm actually affecting with the correction. So as you can see here, this is all the areas in the low light, all the areas in the highlight, and this is giving me a 100 nit indicator. Now it's important to note that this display also works when you're doing SDR grading as well as HDR. So for example, here we've got the zone area. If I change this for the dark, and then we have here the fall off. This fall off is very similar to almost like a pivot, I think is probably a good way of referring to it. And then we have this for each area. So we have dark, shadows, highlights, and then if I come over here, we have light, highlights, and specular, the lightest area. And then we also have global. Then we have here on the left temperature, and then we have tint on the right. Now what happens too on this is that if I go all the way to the left here, as you can see, this is black, dark, shadow, and then we have here light, highlight, specular. Now if I want to add more regions, it's totally possible. You can actually add more correction areas here by just simply selecting create a zone. So let's say if I come down here and I want to let's move this zone here, and then I want to create a new zone, and we'll just call it low light 2, for example. And then what we can do here is we say, do we want it to be in the low areas or the light areas? And we say in the low areas. And then we come over here and then select that like so. So now this is low light 2 in that area. Now if you want to actually see what you're going to be adjusting with low light 2, simply go into your highlight area here, move this over into this area. So this would be the darker areas, and then this would be here like so. I can come over to my first level here, and I've got low light 2 now, and then I can adjust my color inside that area, and then I can also change the exposure in that area as well. And then I can come up to my highlight area and then change my exposure in that area as well. And then I can change this like so, just move it up a little bit and change it like that. So as you can see, there's a tremendous amount of control that you have in this area, and you can make it as complicated or as simple as you want. And that's the beauty of the whole thing. And by combining it with the highlight button, you can actually go through and see what you're isolating and how you're working within the primaries. So there we have it. This is just a really quick overview, and this is something that you really need to sort of play around with and then get to know it. And you can see the power of the system when you're doing this. So for more tips and tricks like this, don't forget to have a look at the other videos on my YouTube channel. And also, don't forget to give me a thumbs up and think about subscribing to my Patreon channel. There's a lot of great perks when you do this, and you also help funding this channel for more great videos. And I hope you have a great evening. Thanks a lot.